If you were to go back in time and somehow convince Lucifer not to rebel against God, the consequences would be profound, both in terms of theology and the narrative of religious texts. Here's how it might play out based on different interpretations. 1. Theological paradox. In many religious traditions, particularly in Christianity, Lucifer's rebellion is seen as a pivotal event in the creation of the cosmic struggle between good and evil. Convincing Lucifer not to rebel could create a paradox, as many theological systems view the rebellion as a necessary part of God's plan for free will and the eventual triumph of good over evil. Without Lucifer's rebellion, the narrative of the fall of man, the temptation of Adam and Eve, and the need for redemption through Jesus Christ might never occur in the same way. 2. Changes in the nature of free will. Lucifer's rebellion is often seen as a test of free will. By choosing to rebel, he exercised his free will in opposition to God's will. If you convinced him not to rebel, it would suggest that free will could be manipulated or altered, which would fundamentally change the nature of good and evil. In many theological systems, this could make the world less meaningful, as the struggle between good and evil and the need for redemption might not exist in the same way. 3. Unchanged order of creation. If Lucifer never rebelled, he would remain one of the highest angels in God's hierarchy, and the world might be very different. There would be no Satan to lead the fallen angels or to tempt humanity. As a result, humanity might not have faced the same trials or temptations, potentially leading to a world without the same need for salvation or spiritual growth that the fall from grace introduced. 4. Impact on humanity's destiny. Without Lucifer's rebellion, Adam and Eve may not have fallen from grace in the Garden of Eden, which, in Christian theology, introduced original sin. This would mean that the need for Jesus Christ's sacrifice to redeem humanity might not exist, and the entire concept of salvation and redemption could be altered or absent. Humanity's relationship with God could be fundamentally different, without the narrative of sin and redemption to shape its spiritual journey. 5. Divine plan and predestination. In some theological frameworks, especially those that emphasize predestination, it is believed that God's plan is unchangeable, and everything, including Lucifer's rebellion, occurs according to God's will. In this case, even if you went back and tried to convince Lucifer not to rebel, it might be impossible or ultimately futile, because the rebellion is seen as part of God's grand design. According to this view, God's plan requires the existence of both good and evil, and any attempt to alter it would be futile. 6. Moral and ethical considerations. Theologically, Lucifer's rebellion is seen as a reflection of pride and the desire for power. Convincing him not to rebel might be seen as an intervention in the moral development of the universe. Without the rebellion, Lucifer might remain a humble, loyal servant of God, and the universe might lack the necessary tension between good and evil that challenges beings to choose between them. In summary, preventing Lucifer's rebellion would likely have deep and far-reaching effects on the spiritual, moral, and theological structure of the world. It could fundamentally alter the nature of good and evil, humanity's relationship with God, and the need for divine salvation. It's also possible that in a universe governed by free will and divine design, such an intervention might be impossible or deemed unnecessary within the grand scope of God's plan.